Hello, and thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to work on something really old. I guess it's 1950s or earlier than that. And it is a signal drill. Now, signal I know from when I used to restore antique fans. There were a lot of signal fans. So let's take a look at this thing because best I can describe it as is an oil can drill. So the reason why I call it an oil can drill is because of how big around it is. It's got a cool badge. Look at that badge. Signal, 1700 RPMs, type 09, looks like 09. Could be different. I'll check that out later. -4. It has a replacement power cord, 3-pronger no less. Be interesting to see how they did that in here. Yeah, not really sure how this thing comes apart because it looks like you just do this and it comes apart. But then when you look up here, I guess it's a really tight seal here. But that brush is really far in. That one is not. I don't know, you know. Oh, look who's here. Hey, Rusty. Yeah. So that's our mission. Won't finish it tonight. It's starting to get dark out, right, Rusty? Rusty's showing up. He's like, "We going in? Dinner time." Nope, we're gonna work a little bit. All right. So that's our mission. Let's get busy. You're gonna be in the way, aren't you? Yep. Let's start by taking these 3 screws out and seeing what's going on with the power switch. Well, that was pretty easy. All right, let's see what is going on here. Well, that's pretty interesting how they've got this thing grounded. So somebody's added a 3rd ground. This was not a 3-prong drill. That's pretty clear, as I would have suspected given the age of this thing. And I don't know that I like how they grounded it. They grounded it to this metal switch. And that, I don't know if it's a good idea. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not a good idea. Yeah. So, looks pretty clean in here though. Yeah, they really need a strain relief on this thing. That's the big problem. Overall, this cord is dry, but it's not bad. But I don't know about grounding this to that switch. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut this cord because I am going to replace this, and I'm going to think about it for a minute. If I want to replace this with a 2-prong cord, like it probably had when it was new. That's an oiler port. Let me see if I've got one. Well, here's what we're dealing with. So this wire here isn't bad. This is how they grounded this. I don't know why they would have grounded it to the metal switch, but the fact that there is no post here means this was a 2-prong cord to begin with. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to go back to a 2-prong cord with it. I just don't like grounding to these switches. Anything goes wrong and it can arc. And it can actually arc this way with, just when it approaches metal, it can actually send a shock. If you've got something like that powered bench grinder, it may actually ground into that. So I think I'm gonna look for a 2-prong cord. All right, Rusty? Let's do that. Okay, I've cut this old cord. They just have these wound on those screws. I don't usually like doing that. I like to put terminal rings on it. I used this cord once before, actually, for the impact gun that I thought was 2-prong and ended up being 3. So we're gonna go back to that cord. It looks to me like we've got room, possibly for terminal rings. Gonna have to do this without gloves on. Okay, so I'm using a blue terminal ring, so I'm crimping it with blue. Check it. Same for the hot. That wasn't even tight. Oh no, it was that one. Both of these were extremely loose. That's interesting. Hi, Rusty. Yeah, I know, there's stuff going on here. I know, you're probably hungry. Even though you ate 3 times today so far. We're trying to put some weight on, Rusty. That's right, you need to gain a little bit of weight. Not my other guys, they're all fat. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of electrical tape on this, just because I like to be extra cautious. You are not gonna let me get anything done tonight. right, we're snug. We're snug. We're snug. We're tight. 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 All right, we can actually test this thing. That's how fast this all is. If it works, it'll be one of my easiest yet. So we're gonna do my normal procedure. I'm gonna get our box out here. That is off, that's on. So the first thing we're gonna do to check our wiring is we're gonna plug it in and put the power on and hope nothing happens. If nothing happens, that's good. Okay, nothing happens, we're off. So this has a trigger lock. So I'm going to engage the trigger lock and hit the power. And if everything's right, this thing should move. And it does. Whew, that 1 second, I can smell the old motor smell from this. Pretty crazy, but you know, it hasn't been oiled in a long time. It hasn't been greased. So we're gonna take care of that before we actually give it a big run. I just wanted to make sure our wiring was good. All right, so let's look at what's in there. So we get 3 screws on the front. Okay, so what I'm gonna do as I kind of pop this top off, I'm gonna kind of hold the spindle in place, so I just take the top off. There's our grease. So what do you think? Let's see, how hard is it? It's pretty bad. I have seen worse, but you can see how it's not really doing anything. So let me get a bag and some paper towels. All right, let's dig this grease out. Get the little bit here first. You know, it's not very good when it just comes apart like that in huge pieces. Wow, yeah, it's worse inside. It actually smells like really old automotive. Like when you go to some car that's been sitting in the woods and you open the hood, that's what this smell is like. Look at this, it comes out as a big gummy chunk. Well, they certainly put a lot of grease in this. I'm going to grease it with super lube, which is great. I like it in this canister too, because you can just scoop it out. And this drill has a lot of grease in it. All right, snug. Snug, snug, and tight. Tight and tight. All right, I'm gonna fire this guy up real quick just to check to make sure everything's lined up correctly in there. Okay, that's good. So now we're gonna clean the motor, and then we gotta check the brushes, and then we're done for the night. So I'll be back. So to kind of flush some of this old debris out of the motor, I'm using Specialist Dry Lube. I say this in every video because it's that important. This is not WD-40, it is Specialist Dry Lube. Specially made to do exactly this. It even says on it, great for table saws, drills, and lathes. Rather specific. So all we're gonna do really is I'm gonna spray this stuff in and let it run out of the drill. This can's almost empty. Get another can. So we don't want to start the drill now for a while because everything in there is going to be flammable. So yes, we're unplugged. All right, let's take one of these brushes out and see what shape they're in. I don't think that's an original brush cap either. That brush is in great shape. Look at it. No problems there. I'll admit, in all the times I've done these, I've never actually come across one where the brushes were so worn I felt I had to replace them. Oh, this is missing the cap. That's why it looks like it's so far in. I see. Well, we'll check this out anyway. Yeah, that guy's also perfect. All right, I'm going to see if I've got a type of brush cap that'll fit that, and I'll be right back. So I found my brush caps, which is always good and always a trick. They're in metric sizes, but they're odd metric sizes. This one says it is a 13.6, and that looks to be the size. Yep. Oh, maybe not. Or maybe it's just fine grade Chinesium. And now I'm gonna have to wrestle with that to get it out. I do think that was the right size, but I think it's too tall. So I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna take it on the grinder and shorten it. I'll be back. Rusty. There we go. It worked. All right, custom made brush cover and one for scrap. All right, we've now got brush covers. And we're done for the night. I suppose I should try to oil it with that oil to get some oil on the rear bearing. Put these things away. Their front oiler. I guess they expect the grease to do that. All right, so we're still too damp to actually run it. So here we go. We're wired, we're oiled, we got our new brush cover on. We're greased. Tomorrow we'll finish it up. All right, so that's it for tonight. Great progress. This went really easy. Wired right up, it runs, the switch is good. So tomorrow we'll give it a real test run so we can really see what it sounds like. It's now oiled, wired, and greased and ready to go, and the motor's been cleaned out. So it'll be interesting to see what it really sounds like and how fast it really runs. It says 1700 RPMs, we'll see. And yeah, then we'll clean it up, because this looks like it would clean up really nice. So I don't know how far I'll take it, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Hey everyone, just a brief interruption here. If you're enjoying this content and you'd like to support my channel, and especially if you like cats, I've written a series of chapter books for ages 8 and up, fully illustrated, called Flea Biscuit and Friends. The first book in the series is Flea Biscuit Finds a Home, followed by Flea Biscuit Summer Vacation, and finally, Flea Biscuit's Magic Christmas. They're available at all local booksellers as well as on Amazon.com. I will post a link in the video description. And hey, that's my pitch. Back to the video. And we're back. It's been about 24 hours. The drill is dried out so we can test it. And what we're going to do right after that is we're going to start cleaning up the finish. And so to do the finish, we're going to need gloves, goggles, some regular WD-40, and some wire brushes. And you can see if you look closely at this, it's got a long way to go to polish this thing up. So yeah, I got to also be very careful of this really cool signal badge, so I'll be masking that off before I wire brush it. Looks like I gotta clean some, or wipe some oil off of it too, or else the tape won't stick. Let me take care of that, I'll be right back. All right, the badge is masked off. There's a lot of oil on this from my cleaning and oiling of it. Oh yeah, let's test it. So, I'm gonna use my regular test procedure. I'm going to use this box, even though we've already tested this once. So that's on, that's off. So the first thing we're going to do is plug it in and then apply power. Nothing happened. That's a good sign. And now let's hear what this thing sounds like. Get that oil and grease in there. Hear it pick up? I bet it hasn't run that long, in 40 years at least. All right, so this process I use is well known for getting oil and dirt all over my shirt. So I'm gonna try something a little different this time. I'm gonna actually do this in a box. So how I do this, let me make sure you can see what I'm doing here. And you don't need to see a lot of this. It's not a particularly fascinating process. This is the pre-polish step, and it has a big effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray WD-40 on the metal here. It kind of greases up this wire brush so it glides better, but it also is somewhat corrosive, so it will help this cut into this corrosion. All right, so I just did this little spot. See that? So we're going from that to that pretty quickly. All right, so I'm gonna just pause the camera here, but I am gonna give you one little quick look at what's going on. So we're going from that, loaded with scratches. Let's give it really close. We're going from that, loaded with scratches and all that, to that, pretty clean and ready for polish. All right, I will be back. I forgot to put my goggles on. Safety first. All right, this is just with steel wool. Looks pretty clean. I haven't done the chuck yet. So how I'm gonna do the chuck is with the bench grinder. It doesn't look like I did the handle that well. Yeah, let me take care of that, and then we'll go to the bench grinder and do the chuck. So how I do this is pretty easy. Same thing, gloves, goggles, and this is quick. I'm just going to turn this on, and I'm going to run the drill. Pretty much it. That cleans the chuck up really well. All right, now we're on to polishing. All right. I am going to try some of this Eastwood rubbing compound for the polisher, and I got this at the local flea market from Maurice. He sold me a whole bunch of high-end polishes for like $5. So let's see how this works. Stuff works really, really well. Look at that. Look at that. That is far superior to what I was using prior, and I think that's it. I'm going to just keep using this. Look at that. All right, I'm going to keep going, and I'll be back. Okay, we're off the polisher, and there's something I always say: never underestimate the power of a hand polish. because this looks good. It looks like it's going to look really good, but it's got a lot of polish dried into it. And what we want to do is want to get that out. And this is Chemical Guys light metal polish. Works pretty good. So just a little rubbing, see all the black that comes off? That's what we want to take care of. Look at that. Yeah, already got to change the rag over. So as I always say with these, you can take it as far as you want to go. You want a mirror finish? Just keep going. You'll get there. All right, and that leaves our last step in the polishing process, other than the decal, but I'll take this tape off. We're pretty much safe to take the tape off at this point. Good, we protected it. All right, but the last step is the rub down, and this is a very important step because this gets all the remaining polish off. Best to do it with something like this, a bath towel. All right, let's see it. Look at that. How cool is that? That came out nice. All right, so one other thing we're going to do on the label while I'm in the polishing zone here. Don't use polish. I use car wax. And you can actually put a coat of wax on your entire tool as well while you're at it, because, well, I live in Florida and things here will corrode pretty quickly. But, whoops. So, you can use car wax on these. These do not use polish. It'll take the ink right off of them. You may wonder how I know this. Because in my youthful, wild days of abandon, I did it once on a General Electric fan, and it immediately, and the ink came off. It was just like that. It was that quick. I never did it again. I learned my lesson. I do like this Tech Wax for a couple of reasons. It's very good for polishing these labels, but or to badges. But I also use it on my truck, and it's great stuff. It's made for, you know, the 2000s era paint, but it also smells really nice, and I can't describe it. It is a chemical smell, but it's nice. And after you wax your truck, it smells really nice for weeks. It also lasts a long time. It's not a cleaner wax. So if you've got dirty paint, this is not good for it. Well, it's fine. It just won't really clean your paint. It's good for a car that gets waxed at least once a year. All right, I'm gonna let this dry for a minute, put some stuff away, and then we'll give it one last wipe down and we'll be done. So I'm looking for a chuck key for this thing. And it's an odd mix because it's got a very small hole, but it needs a very big key. And I didn't just look through these. I'll show you. I went through this drawer and all of these. I don't have one that fits. So this is pretty close, but it does not fit in there. So I'm going to try to get it to work. I'm going to hit the grinding wheel and slowly turn it, and hopefully I can get it at the right size. So goggles and gloves. Getting there. I'll be back. All right. Now I get a working key. All right, custom chuck key and all. Let's say we give it a run, all shined up. It has got a fantastic old motor sound. Even motors from the 60s, 70s, they didn't sound like this thing. This has got, maybe it's just the speed, the 1700 RPMs, is it? Yeah. But there's something about this motor and the sound of the speed. It's just, sounds old. It sounds really old. Signal. Can we read the model number now? Quarter-inch drill, number, type 0B-4. Look at how cool that signal is. Something electrical products. Looks like manufactured electrical products. Cool. What a great little drill. Fun little project. All right, so that's it. This is a great tool, and what a fantastic project. It only took maybe 3 hours total to get this thing done. And it's just, look at it, it's just gorgeous. And it is ready to get back to work. Now, it is old. This is at least 70, 75 years old. And it sounds it. I mean, it has that old Electrolux motor sound that I recall from when I was a kid, from tools and vacuum cleaners that were built in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. This thing sounds old, but I mean, it's great. It's just a fantastic tool. I'm so glad that I took this on. And you know, I'll have to post a picture because younger people won't understand when I say I call this an oil can drill. But for us older people, remember like a quart oil can and that funnel that would pop on the top of the can, the plastic funnels or metal funnels that would pop on the cans. And I mean, that really looks like this thing. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And if you did enjoy this, or you've enjoyed some of the other content on my channel, Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps me, it helps the channel grow. And hey, if you come across one of these and you want to restore it, I just did it. If I can do it, you can too. All you need to do is go out and get busy. Take care.